Good morning, students. Today we will be working on addition story problems. First, can anyone tell me what addition is?
Adding.
Adding. And when we add, what are we doing?
Adding two numbers together.
Right. In addition, we're finding a total or sum by finding two numbers put together. Now, does anyone want to take a guess at what an addition word problem might be? Yes.
Adding in a sentence.
Yes, absolutely. On a story word problem, we use real life situations and we combine one amount that is given to another given amount, and we add them together to get our answer or a sum that is greater than both of those numbers together, or that is greater than both of those numbers separately. Okay. So do you guys remember earlier in this year when we were introduced to manipulatives, when we worked with manipulatives?
Mm-hmm.
Our manipulative is used as a hands-on object to represent something, and today we will get the chance to use manipulatives in working with our addition story problems. So who's excited and ready to get started today?
Yay!
Yeah! All right. So there are two different types of addition word problems, but today we're just going to be focusing on one. We're going to be focusing on adding two. In adding two, it means that we are first given an amount, and then we start with, and then we add to that amount with a second number that we are given. So we should end up with an answer that is greater than both of those amounts we started with. So we're gonna take a marker out. I'll write our first story problem up on the board for you. So Sally has 3 blue gumballs. And then Sally's friend Sam gives her 2 red gumballs. So we want to find out how many gumballs does Sally have all together? So first we want to identify the first number that we're working with, our first given number. So our first given number says Sally has 3 blue gumballs. So I'm going to circle 3, because 3 will be the first number we use in our addition story problem. So since we are doing addition story problems and we're adding 2, I'm going to add a plus sign to what we are adding to. So now Sally's friend Sam gives her 2 red gumballs. So I'll write a 2 up here for our second number. And now we're going to use manipulatives to represent each of these gumballs. So for our 3 blue gumballs, pretend these are gumballs, but I'll use these little teddy bears to show our gumballs. So I've got 1, 2, 3 blue gumballs that Sally has to start with. So now Sam gives her 2 red gumballs, so I'm going to put 2 gumballs up on the board to represent that. Got 1 and 2. So now we want to know, how many gumballs does Sally have all together? Well, we've done this before. We've seen addition word problem before. This looks familiar, right? We've worked on this. And now we have manipulatives that represent both of these numbers. I've got the 3 for our first number for gumballs, and I have 2 to represent our second number that we are adding to our first number, right? So now we want to know what this equals. Well, you've both all seen this before, but we can also count all of the manipulatives we have together to get our answer. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gumballs. Do you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
How we have our first number, and we use manipulatives to represent our first number, and we are adding 2 to our original number down here, so we use 2 manipulatives to represent that, and we can count our manipulatives all together to get our answer. So now up on the board, we have our addition word story problem, we have our handwritten addition math problem, and now we have manipulatives or objects to represent that problem. Are we ready to move on and do this together? All right. So let's practice some. I'll read the problem out loud to you, and then we are going to identify, and then we'll identify our first and second number, and I'll have you take turns coming up and adding the manipulatives to the board. So, okay, so our first story problem, I'll just go ahead and write on the board for you. Bob has 2 pencils. Bob then finds 4 pencils in his backpack. So we want to know how many pencils does Bob have all together? Okay, so what is our first number? Our first given number?
2.
2, right. Do you want to come up and circle it? So we want to circle our 2, it's our first number, and then we can also, just like I did, we want to write our 2 for our first number, and then we can put 2 manipulatives up on the board to show that. You got it. There we go. Good job. Wonderful. So Bob has 2 pencils, and we show those 2 pencils right here with our manipulatives. And now we are going to be adding to that with our second given number. What is our second number? Lindsay?
4.
Absolutely. Good job. Do you want to come circle it? I'm going to circle our second number and write it in our, so we have a addition word problem, and then we can show it with manipulatives. Good job. Thank you. Good job. Okay, so we have our first number 2 up here and down, and then we have manipulatives to represent it. And then we have our second number that we're adding to our first number right here, and we have manipulatives to show it. Now let's all count together. Let's count all of our manipulatives to see how many pencils Bob has all together. Okay? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, how many pencils does Bob have all together?
6.
So we have 2 plus 4 equals?
6.
Very good. So Bob has 6 pencils. Okay. If I don't write the story problem on the board, if I say it out loud, are we able to identify our first and second numbers and write it up on the board?
Mhm.
All right. So our second story problem is Sam has 4 green gumballs. Sam then finds 4 more gumballs. How many gumballs does Sam have altogether? So I'll repeat it one more time. Sam has 4 green gumballs. He then finds 4 more gumballs. How many gumballs does Sam have altogether? All right. So what was our first number? Let me get this erased first so I can write it. All right. So how many gumballs did Sam start out with? Yes.
4.
4. Good job. Do you want to come put 4 manipulatives up on the board for me?
So they need to be the same color.
No, they don't have to be. Sometimes it's easier though if we use 2 separate colors to show our first number and our second number.
Okay.
Make it work. Sorry, moving off. A little awkward. It's okay. Good job. Does anybody remember what our second number was then in our story problem? How many gumballs did Sam find?
4.
Yeah, very good. Do you want to put 4 manipulatives on the board for us?
Sure do.
Here, I'll help you.
Thank
Some teamwork.
Backwards.
That's alright.
Silly thing.
Wonderful. Okay, now who wants to be my volunteer and come up here and point to the classroom as we go through and count all together our manipulatives? Come on up. All right, now let's count with her. Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So how many gumballs does Sam now have all together?
8.
Very good, class. Thank you so much. Thank you all for helping. So we have 8. So 4 plus 4 equals 8. And we have our manipulatives up here that we can count, and that helps show us the answer to our addition story problem. Okay, so we're going to do one more practice all together, then we'll work independently. But I need 2 volunteers to help me. Who would like to be my volunteer? Me too. Come on up. One more. All right. So, let's pretend that my manipulatives are cookies, okay? So I have, I don't remember your name.
Courtney. I'm so sorry.
It's really okay. Courtney and Abby. Okay, so we're gonna pretend these are cookies. So I give I give Courtney 5 chocolate chip cookies. And then I give Abby 4 chocolate chip cookies. So Abby has 4 chocolate chip cookies and Courtney has 5. Courtney decides that she's not very hungry today and wants to give her chocolate chip cookies to Abby.
Great.
So how many cookies does Abby now have altogether? So, do you want to show the class, we can count out our manipulatives, how many chocolate chip cookies we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So, Courtney had 5, we can see with our red ones here, the 5 cookies. And then we have the 4 that we had the 5 that she gave to Abby, and then she had 4. So our 4 plus our 5, all together we have 9. All right, are we ready to work? Do we have any questions? All right, are we ready to work on the worksheet by ourselves then? Okay, I'm going to give each of you a bag of manipulatives.
We have enough 10 minutes. I think we're gonna have to skip your assessment.
I'll say, well, I'll give you all a bag of I'll just say it real quick if you actually do it. Give you all your own bag of manipulatives, and I have a worksheet for you. On our worksheet, there are three addition story problems. What I'd like you to do for each story problem, I would like you to use manipulatives on your paper to represent each number, both the numbers in the story problem. I then want you to write down the answer that you have in the space provided. If you have any questions, raise your hand and let me know. But when you are all done, sit quietly and I will come check on you, and I would like to see your manipulatives that you showed for your answer, as well as an explanation for why you did what you did. Okay, do we have any further questions before we get started? Alrighty.
Thanks.
How long was mine?
I think yours was.
Do you want to